and you buckle up, and you're getting ready to eat your friends for dinner. And all of a sudden you get this feeling in the pit of your stomach. Something doesn't feel right. So you get out of the car, you go back in the house, you text your friends, and you say, sorry, I can't make it tonight. Something's come up. You find out later that there was a huge car accident on the exit that you would have taken to go meet your friends for dinner. Good evening, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and honored guests. Has something like that ever happened to you before? Where you've changed your plans last minute because of a gut feeling you had or intuition? It's happened to me before, where I've just stopped and not done something because of how I felt. But what is intuition? Does everybody have it? Does everybody use it? Now, intuition, the definition, is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So again, intuition is the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. Now that really stood out to me. For the last couple of weeks before I was preparing for this speech, a quote kept coming by me by Wayne Dyer, and it is, if prayer is us talking to God, intuition is when God talks to us. Now think about that for a second. When we pray, we're talking to God. Intuition is God talking to us, protecting us, maybe sending us a sign or helping us. I believe everybody has intuition. There's times you get a gut feeling or something happens and you're not sure why. Something just doesn't feel right, so you don't do it. If something doesn't feel right, it's usually because it's not right to do. Whether it be a job decision or it's a business decision, you're going to do something. Your kids are going someplace and it just doesn't feel right. If you get a gut feeling about something, then you should probably listen to it. I feel that God created us to be perfect so that we know when something is right or wrong. And it's up to us to follow that gut feeling, that intuition, whatever it is, however you want to explain it, whatever you believe. But there's a reason we're created the way we were. I'll share a personal story about intuition. Many of you know my story. On February 27th, 2014, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And I went in to see the doctors and they said, it's a small spot, one area, you can either do a lumpectomy and do radiation with it, or do a mastectomy and have chemo. And I thought, okay. So we talked a little bit about a bilateral mastectomy, but not really lots because it was a small area and we caught it very, very early. So we went home and my husband and I discussed it, and it just didn't feel right. The choices, I said that gut feeling something wasn't right. So I would spend mornings walking around the pond in our area and praying to God and asking, what should I do? What should I do? And night after night I'd have the same dream, have a bilateral mastectomy or a double mastectomy. And I'd wake up and I'd be like, nope, that's not gonna happen. I'd go to sleep the next night, I'd do a walk, I'd ask the same thing, show me what to do. And I'd say, okay, I'll do a lumpectomy. And I'd get that feeling in my gut, but it just didn't feel right. But I wouldn't listen. Even though every night I'd have the same dream, the same dream, the same dream, I just wasn't listening. It wasn't until the time that I just finally figured out, okay, I'm just gonna listen. Because as soon as I said the words, I'm gonna do a bilateral mastectomy, I had perfect peace. I was calm about it, and I knew it was the right thing to do. At the same time this was going on, my mom was in Canada and she had bone cancer. So she was in hospice and suffering, and at the time I was diagnosed, I had to make a decision. Do I tell her that I had breast cancer or do I not tell her? I spoke with my brother and sister, and it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel right for us to tell her because she was suffering anyway. It wouldn't have made a difference. It would have made me feel better, so I was telling my mom. But would it have made a difference? When we thought about it, it just didn't feel right in our gut to tell her. So again, we followed our intuition and didn't tell her. So the day of the surgery came, it was April 15th, 2014, and went for the surgery. It was funny because when we called the doctor to say, okay, we decided on a bilateral mastectomy, they already had that down for the surgery. We had never told them, we hadn't told them the decision, and it wasn't even really one of the options, but it was already down. It was like it was already taken care and planned for us, which was an amazing thing. But before the surgery, I was ready, went in, I came out, I asked my husband 2 questions. One, is my mom still alive? And number 2, did they find any more cancer? The answer to both was yes, and I was oddly excited. I was happy my mom was still alive, but I was really happy they found more cancer because I thought that explained why I felt so uncomfortable about just doing a lumpectomy. They ended up finding 3 areas of cancer. They got everything was great. But it just goes to show when you follow your intuition and you feel good about a decision, it's the right one. If you go to make a decision and you have that uneasy feeling or you just don't feel good about it, there's probably a reason that you don't feel good about it. I got home on April 17th, 2014. It was my husband's birthday. And we settled in, and I was still groggy from the surgery. Once I settled in, it was maybe 5 minutes later, and we got a phone call, and it was my sister saying my mom had just passed away. And as sad as I was, it was almost like a blessing that she waited until I got home. I went through my surgery, I was okay, I was at home. Even though we never shared with her that I had breast cancer, it was like mother's intuition. You know, like when your intuition, a parent intuition with a child, when you know something's wrong, even though they don't tell you. She knew something was wrong, and it's almost like she held on just long enough to see that I was okay and I was home safe. Just shows me so much how important intuition is. Following intuition could possibly save your life. It guides you and it can help you. But it's up to you to take that step and listen to it. Whether you get the intuition by God speaking to you, whether, like the definition says, the quote, or whether it's you get a gut feeling, whatever it is, everybody gets it differently, but everybody gets it. There's that some kind of feeling that something isn't right. However it is, when you feel it, listen to it. Trust yourself. You know, like I said, God created us this way for a reason. If we're not completely sure about something that we're going to do, then stop. You know, think of yourself first. Why are you feeling that way? I'd like to, you know, when I was faced with breast cancer, I could have handled it a completely different way as well. I could have done like a pity party. I could have went in the closet, screamed, yelled, complained, and, you know, rebelled. Instead, I decided to embrace it, you know, be thankful that I was being shown what to do, and to take it with a positive attitude. I was very happy I followed my intuition and my gut about what to do. And I took it to a different level. I used Toastmasters to start speaking to people. I joined and became a John Maxwell team mentor, coach, and speaker. I just 2 days ago became an ambassador for the Ambitious Women Success Club. I've taken what I've gone through and I'm putting a positive spin on it and saying yes to things when I know it's right. When things are offered to me or open up, I stop and I think to myself, is this the right thing? And my gut usually tells me the right thing. And as long as I'm following my gut or my intuition, I always know that I'm on the right path. I'd like to ask everybody here, you know, just think to yourself for a second. Is anybody going through something right now where maybe you're going through a job change? Maybe you're going through something in your personal life or at home. Maybe you've been trying to make a decision about something, but you just can't figure out the answer. Think about that for a second. If I were to ask you to really dig deep about whatever situation it is that you're going through or thinking about, what does your intuition tell you about? What is your gut telling you to do? If you just think about what your gut's telling you to do and what feels good, you already know the answer. Use that to guide you. Trust in your intuition. Trust in your gut. You're created that way for a reason. If you're to leave here with one thing tonight, I would ask that you trust your intuition. You know, if you're going someplace and you get that feeling in your gut that something isn't right, trust in it. If you're getting that feeling that something isn't right, it probably isn't. Trust in yourself and your intuition. You're created that way for a reason.